What's up, you guys? Nick here. Last week was chaos as the reigning women's champ in the 100 meters, Shacarri Richardson, was removed from Team USA, will not be competing at Tokyo as of this moment because she smoked weed. Actually, I believe she said she ingested marijuana. It's not important. She tested positive for cannabis, and they are removing all traces of her from the U.S. Olympic trials. And it's an absolute tragedy for multiple reasons, as we're about to discuss. I asked myself, why is marijuana on the U.S. anti-doping list? I dug in to find the answer to that, and the answer will shock you. To start my research for this video, I went to globaldro.com. It's an online resource that I used many, many times during my professional career. On globaldro.com, I can enter my nationality, I can enter that I'm an athlete in the sport of track and field, and I can enter in marijuana, and then it pulls up cannabis for me. And it says that cannabis, interestingly enough, is illegal in competition. It's prohibited in competition, but not prohibited out of competition. We'll get to that in a second. Okay, so cannabis is prohibited in competition. Then I have to go to USADA and WADA's websites. Now, these are the global doping agencies that test people, that set up the rules for us to have a level playing field. USADA, United States Anti-Doping Administration, and WADA, the World Anti-Doping Administration. Now, if you go to USADA's website, they say they defer to WADA's prohibited list, and it says, well, why are cannabinoids on the WADA prohibited list? Let's read this. For something to be added to the WADA prohibited list, it must meet 2 of the 3 inclusion criteria. A, it poses a health risk to athletes. B, it has the potential to enhance performance. And C, it violates the spirit of sport. So it must reach 2 of those 3 criteria. As you're about to see, I believe it meets 1, but does not meet the other 2. So let's start with the one I do believe it meets. Athletes who smoke cannabis or spice in competition potentially endanger themselves and others because of increased risk-taking, slower reaction times, and poor executive function or decision-making. I kind of agree with them on this one. The last thing we want is a bunch of high athletes wandering around a track meet with people running around. I mean, there's hammers, there's freaking javelins being thrown. I don't want anyone high out on the track. I'm going to give them this one. Let's go to number 2. Based on current animal and human studies, as well as on interviews with athletes and information from the field, cannabis can be performance enhancing for some athletes and sports disciplines. I call bullshit. First of all, I find it interesting that they don't cite any of these studies. And I'm asking you, you can't have it both ways. You can't in the first one say that there's slower reaction times and poor executive function, and then in the next bullet point say it's performance enhancing. I don't know about you, but what event in track and field does slower reaction times and poor motor function help you? It doesn't help you at all. Now, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, Nick, but what about the fact that it relaxes you? Can't that be performance enhancing? Maybe it could. Let's go to point number 3. Use of illicit drugs that are harmful to health and that may have performance-enhancing properties is not consistent with the athlete as a role model for young people around the world. So they're going to play the role model card. Well, let me talk about another drug that's legal, that helps relax you, and is legal in competition. I'm talking about alcohol. Alcohol is an extremely dangerous drug that can be detrimental to the athlete's health. It's not great if you're a role model, but it's legal in competition. That's right. Going back to globaldro.com, under the exact same criteria, alcohol is legal in competition. What are we talking about here? This is insane. You can't have it both ways, WADA and USADA. You can't make alcohol, legal and fine and safe, but not weed. It doesn't work that way. So as I'm sitting here today reading your own criteria, USADA and WADA, you have not proven to me that it meets 2 of the 3 incursion criteria, and as such, you must remove it from the banned list, and you must reinstate Shacarri Richardson. Boom! Case closed. Now, I'm no lawyer, but I think we just proved why Shacarri Richardson's name needs to be cleared and she needs to be reinstated. I know a lot of you out there are going to say, but Nick, the rules are the rules. One last point. You're absolutely right. The rules are the rules. And going back to Global Dro, it says that cannabis is illegal. It's prohibited in competition. Shacarri Richardson did not use weed in competition. She used it out of competition. She admitted to using an edible that she consumed to deal with the grief of the loss of her mother. She used it before competition, but by their own admission here on USADA.org, it can take days, weeks, or even months for that to get out of your system to test negative. So Shacarri Richardson followed the rules, did she not? I'm no lawyer here, you guys, but I think we have exonerated Shacarri Richardson. She needs to be reinstated immediately. I rest my case. I'll see you guys next time.